everyone. Welcome to another episode of Shiz and Giggles, our weekly wind-down podcast where we talk about everything and anything. My name is Nhan, and I will be your host for today, but I am never alone. My first co-host is a lover of all things true crime, a Taurus sun and moon, and puts hot sauce and sriracha on everything. Let this girl spice up your life. Is Demi.
Hey, glad to be here, Nhan. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. So glad to have you here today. My second co-host is a movie enthusiast, a Netflix binger, an adventure seeker, and cat lover. With a cup of coffee and a Spotify playlist, it's Izzy.
Hi everyone! Happy
Hey,
Friday! Hope
Happy
everyone's doing well.
Yep. Fantastic. Happy to have you both here today. All right, to kick things off this week, let's talk about a trending topic. This week is amusement parks and theme parks. So first off, did you know that amusement parks and theme parks are two completely different things? So an amusement park is a park that features various attractions such as rides and games, as well as other events for entertainment purposes. On the other hand, a theme park is a type of amusement park that bases its structure and attractions around a central theme, often featuring multiple areas with different themes. So my question for you guys here today is that what are your favorite amusement parks and why? Does like a specific amusement park bring back you memories or anything?
I really like King's Dominion. I think that's just because I went there a lot as a kid, and it was always so much fun. And I loved going. We always went with my family, and me and my best friend got tickets every year to go. And we always went to like Halloween Haunt, and now they have their own version of Christmas Town, which is really cool. As I got older, though, going there, I realized that it's not as nice as I thought it was. It's kind of a little dingy and dirty.
Yeah, that's definitely me with Busch Gardens. I live closer to Busch Gardens, so I went there a lot as a kid. I actually haven't been to King's Dominion since I was like 5, so I really want to go. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff at Busch Gardens, and I was like, wow, this seemed a lot more spectacular when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, wow. For me, I don't really go to amusement parks very often. I'm like not a thrill seeker at all. But I guess like I'd like to go to Universal Studios sometimes. But the last time I've been there was like a few years ago. Mainly I go there for like the 4D stuff, all the cool attractions.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I guess the next question is, are you going, well, I guess you already addressed this, but are you guys going to any theme parks or amusement park this summer?
Yeah, my cousin and I plan on we're going to check the price of day tickets versus season passes, but we've been talking a lot about wanting to go to at least King's Dominion recently. And I do really like Busch Gardens, and I know they've gotten a lot of new rides recently that weren't open last time I went. So I want to go and ride the new rides. And honestly, Busch Gardens is just fun because it has all the little themed areas based on countries and stuff, which I like.
I actually went to Busch Gardens. I think it was like a couple weeks ago, but they have this new ride. They've completely finished building it and they're advertising for it. It's just not open yet. And Jenna just mentioned it as well. I cannot wait for this ride to open. It's called Pantheon, and it's a multi-launch roller coaster. So it's like different tracks going at different times, and it just seems crazy, and I'm super excited for it. Still don't know when it's actually going to open, but I will definitely be there.
Wow, that seems really crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever been to Busch Gardens per se. I've been to King's Dominions and Six Flags, but not Busch Gardens. So maybe that can be my next plan.
It's only like an hour away too.
Really? Well, next summer maybe.
Next summer maybe.
Alrighty, so that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for sharing. So all right, it's time for segments, everyone. So let's go to Demi with It Takes Two.
Hey, everybody. So I am super excited to announce that actually my segment is going to be changing, and we're going to start that off this week. So it's going from It Takes Two to Here's a Tip. So every week that I'm on Shiz and Giggles, I'm going to be giving you life tips, everyday tips, work tips, who knows. For this specific segment, I'm going to be doing theme park tips and tricks. So things that you should or can do when you go to theme parks or amusement parks that makes your life a little bit easier. So my first tip is to get there early. I always remember as a kid, my parents always woke us up super early so that we could get to the park almost right when it opens. There are a couple of reasons for this. One, parking is way easier if you get there early. You're going to be a lot closer to the front of the park, and you're probably not going to have to wait in line as long to park. The next reason is there aren't going to be as many lines to get checked in and go through security to get inside of the park. And then the lines aren't going to be as long at the roller coasters, which brings me to my next tip. Something you want to do is instead of stopping at every ride on the way in, you want to start at the very back of the park because people typically stop at the first thing they see because it's really fun to go on the first ride that you see. Whereas if you start at the back, there aren't going to be as many people over there. There can be a downside to this, though, because then when you get back to the front of the park, that's where people are stopping mainly. So it's kind of up to however you feel. The next one is going to be to map out your time in the park. So I'm going to use Universal Studios for an example, just because they have so many different themed areas. So Universal Studios has Harry Potter World, Marvel Universe, Jurassic World. You don't want to be going back and forth between each place in the park. You want to decide on one area, do that whole area, and then go to the next one. If you're walking back and forth, you're going to waste time while you're walking. So it's a good idea to map it out. The next one is going to be dealing with food and water. So before you go to the park that you're going to, you want to look up their rules and policies. Luckily, some parks actually allow you to bring your own food. So let's say you have picky eaters like kids, or even some adults are picky eaters. You can pack your food before you go and bring it into the park with you, and you're going to save a lot of money on food while you're in the park. The next one is water bottles. If they allow you to bring your own water bottle, most places have water fountains where you can refill your own water bottle. And also another pro tip is water is free at amusement parks as long as it's out of the fountain. If it's in a water bottle, obviously they're going to charge you for it, but never let an amusement park charge you for cupped water. It should be free. So finally, I think some places let you do getting in line as a single rider. If you don't mind riding with strangers, those lines can tend to be faster because a lot of families tend to have 3 to 6 people in it, and a lot of rides accept 4 people. So if a family has 3, you can hop on with that one family because most amusement parks don't like to have empty lanes. So going through the single line will actually help your trip go faster. And then the final one, if you don't mind splurging a little bit, is getting a fast pass ticket. Fast pass tickets are great for places like Disney where you want to get through every single ride. And at a lot of Disney parks, you can plan your trip ahead of time. So you'll actually book out what ride you want to ride at what time. So let's say you want to ride the Tower of Terror at 3 o'clock. You would book your time, and then you get to go in and get on the ride right at 3.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I actually found out when I went to Disneyland Paris. We looked into buying fast pass tickets so that we could just skip all of the lines, but we were a little confused about how the process worked because we weren't sure, because at King's Dominion, a fast pass ticket just gets you in the fast pass lane. So you can just go in and go through the fast lane, and then that's all it is. Whereas at Disney, you get a fast pass ticket and you actually get to book your time slot. So
wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so those are a couple of ways just to make your time a little easier, especially if you have little ones with you there who are a bit impatient. It's better to plan out your time so that y'all are constantly doing things and you aren't waiting in lines too long. So that's my tip for this week.
Yeah, those are some really great tips. Thank you, Demi.
Yeah,
definitely. And I can account for the whole going early because I've been to like Universal Studios like in the afternoon before, and that wasn't it at all. It was very crowded. Alrighty. So thank you so much, Demi, for your segment.
Yes,
now moving on to our next segment. Let's go to Izzy for Let's Take a Trip.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. So, for this week's Let's Take a Trip session, I'm going to be taking you all through where I've been in the United States. And fun fact, I've actually never been out of the United States. So, this right here, this is pretty much it. As you can see, I've been to a lot of places up and down the East Coast and a couple over in the West. But yeah, I've never been out of the country. That's my goal for next year. But yeah, we're going to be going through the places here. So I've lived in New York, and I've obviously been to New York City, and I've been to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, and the Poconos, which is a really, really, really good resort area. Lots of places in Virginia. Lots of places in North Carolina. I've lived in Georgia, military family. My stepdad's in the Navy, so I've moved around a lot. I have family in Utah, and we went camping in Wyoming. And then I also have family in Hawaii, but I haven't been there since I was like a toddler, so definitely need to go back there and give it a visit. But I wanted to give you guys my top 5 favorite cities in the U.S. so far. Obviously, I still have more to travel. But just so you guys can get some ideas and maybe learn about some places you've never heard of before. So the first one is Asheville, North Carolina. This is a really great city if you want to go somewhere where you get a taste of that city life, but you also get a taste of the mountains and nature. Downtown Asheville has amazing restaurants, amazing local and small businesses, but you drive 15 minutes in any direction and you can hop on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is absolutely breathtaking. I really suggest driving along it. It can be a little scary, so definitely have the driver with experience driving through the mountains, but it is beautiful. And again, it's a really great place if you want city and nature and you can't really decide. The second one is New York City. I know this is a lot of people's favorites. It's pretty cliche, but honestly, there's just so much to do in New York City. Like, you can always find something to do. And Broadway's opening back up, so if there's never been a time to get out there, there is now. I definitely would. The third one is Washington, D.C. I was actually just there last week, and I've kind of made it like a yearly thing to go at least once a year for Arctic House, which is an art exhibit there, and it is amazing. Again, a really nice place with some really nice food. The food scene in Washington, D.C. is really getting up there, and I would really check out their happy hour deals because D.C. really tops it. And the fourth one, which I mentioned earlier, is the Poconos, Pennsylvania. This is a huge casino town, but also skiing. So they have really, really, really great casinos. And then they have the Camelback Mountain, which is in the Poconos. It's their ski resort, and it's pretty nice. I've been there a few times. I've never made it past the Bunny Hill, but trying it. It's really great. It's snowboarding, skiing. They also have a lot of good nature hikes and the best outlets I've ever been to. It's like they have any store you can think of, and their deals are amazing. And then last but not least is actually a place that I've lived in for 4 years. This is Saratoga Springs, New York. And this Saratoga Springs has like one of the most famous horse racing tracks. And it's just a beautiful city with a lot of culture and a lot of history. And the biggest thing is the natural springs there. So there's a place in the middle called Congress Park. And it has I think 8 different natural springs where you can just walk up with a cup or a jug and you just fill it up with water. Some of them are really, really, really good. And then some of them taste like rotten eggs, but apparently those are the ones that are supposed to be the best for you because it means they have the most minerals in them. I stay away from them because I can't get over the smell. But if you ever visit Columbia Springs in Congress Park, has the best water you will ever drink in your life. But yeah, those are my top 5 favorite cities in the U.S. And let's see, Andrea says, Asheville, the place where I'm getting married. Amazing. The Biltmore Estate, yes, is beautiful. And then Jenna also said, can't wait for a girls' weekend to Asheville, which, yes, we will do soon. And New York City.
That's awesome. Though I'm surprised that you've never been outside the United States,
Yeah.
Izzy.
I have not. I actually, and it's funny because Saratoga Springs is like 2 hours away from Canada, and I lived there for 4 years, and I never went. We just never got around to getting passports, and Andreas, Saratoga, there might be. I haven't been there in a while, but there might be Saratoga at Disney. I'm not sure.
I looked it up, and it says that it's like a Saratoga Springs Disney resort and spa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, when I Googled it, it was one of the top searches. So I was like,
oh, wow.
Really cool.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been out of the country, and I really, really want to.
Oh, wow. Is there like a particular country that you would like to go to?
Europe. I really want to go. I really want to go to Germany. I have family that live in Germany. And I need to get a little bit of the language in first because my great grandma doesn't really speak any English. So I have to get a little bit of that in first before I go visit, just so I have some form of communication. But I think that would definitely be the first place that I go to, just because I have family there. And my aunt told me we'd go hop on the train and go to Paris. So that sounds fun.
Awesome.
I honestly think I've explored more out of the country than I have in the US.
I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, so we used to take a trip almost every year or 2 years somewhere to a resort typically. And then I studied abroad in Italy for 3 months. So I was able to explore a lot of the places in Europe while I was there. So I definitely recommend it for people. But I also want to explore more of the United States because I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things that are really, really beautiful about the United States. Because I feel like when everybody talks about like, oh, beautiful places to visit if you live in the United States, they always say like to travel outside of the United States to go see it. And there's so many pretty like waterfalls and cascades and clear watering holes and mountains. So
let me tell you, when I went camping in Wyoming, it was gorgeous because it was just a cattle farm with a lake in the middle. And the craziest thing was that the lake had fossilized seashells in it from when that entire area was the ocean. And it was beautiful. It was a little hot during the day. At night, it got pretty chilly, but that's what the desert would do for you. But it was beautiful.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. Well, Demi, now you can ask Izzy for location recommendations. But thank you so much, Izzy, for your segment. Last but not least, we will be wrapping up today's episode with my segment, Cultural Exchange. Alrighty, so my segment, Cultural Exchange, is a chance to share various cultures and languages experience with you guys. So today I will be teaching you guys useful phrases in Cantonese. So before we get started, I will be telling you guys a little bit of background on Cantonese. So it is kind of an ancient language. It was believed to have been originated around 220 AD. And in comparison to Mandarin, which started only around 14th century. Today, though, in China, Mandarin is largely more spoken there. But outside of China, there are still a lot of Cantonese speakers. So you might be kind of wondering, like, what is the difference between Cantonese and Mandarin? Are they both Chinese? Technically, yes, they are both Chinese, and they share a lot of similarities, but they also have a lot of differences. So, for example, they share a lot, like the Chinese characters are mostly the same or very similar, but they have completely different grammar and pronunciation. So, for example, if I take like hello, for example, in Cantonese, it is ni hao. But in Mandarin, it is ni hao. So Cantonese, ni hao, Mandarin, ni hao. So you can kind of tell that they sound really similar to each other. And even like the characters, they are exactly the same. But take something like thank you, for example. Now this is where it gets a little different. In Cantonese, it is 多谢. But in Mandarin, it is 谢谢. So Cantonese, 多谢, Mandarin, 谢谢. you can like hear the difference, and you
Yeah.
see the difference in the characters too, even though there is like one character that is the same. That does show like the difference in like the grammar and how like the pronunciation. Um, so now you guys know kind of like the differences. I will be teaching you guys like one of the most useful and versatile phrase in Cantonese, which you
Okay.
like. If you say this phrase in Cantonese, Mandarin people also understand it. It's pretty
Oh,
universal.
that's cool.
It's amazing.
So this phrase is "aya." This phrase is like an equivalent of saying "oh my god" in English, except it doesn't really have like a meaning per se. The meaning is kind of dictated based on the way you say it, like your tone and your facial expression, like how your emotion is like. So, for example, if you forgot something, you can just be like, "Aya." Or
Oh.
if
That's
you're
cool.
or if you're angry, you can be like, "Aya."
It's like
That's
the
so
inflection
cool.
of how you use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So depending on how you say it, or like, for example, if you're very disappointed in someone, you can be like, "Ay, yeah." Or if you're being grateful about something, you can be like, "Ay, yeah." Like,
Oh,
it's
I love that.
Wow, that's so cool.
yeah. So literally, you can use it for anything, honestly, and it can take on any meaning. So it is the most versatile phrase. You will hear this very often in like Cantonese speaking countries such as Hong Kong. Um, so if you ever go to Hong Kong or like a Cantonese speaking place, you will kind of know what phrase to use if you want to express yourself.
Perfect.
Do they have a similar phrase in Korean as well? I feel like I've heard it. Not, it doesn't sound the same, but I feel like they have something that they use similarly. I used to watch a lot of K dramas, so I just know they have a similar. I feel like they do have a similar phrase that they say that doesn't necessarily have any meaning, and you can say it like multiple ways. That's so
Yeah, there
interesting.
is a
Yeah,
similar phrase in Korean. I think it's "aigu." It's like
yeah,
very similar. Like depending on how you say it, it can
Yeah.
dictate
yeah,
different meaning too.
yeah. That's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, so now you guys know.
Now I have one thing to say,
Yeah.
which I can say multiple ways and mean multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Alrighty.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problems. So to wrap up for today, like the summary, Demi has given us a lot of useful tips for amusement parks today. Very useful. I will definitely be using that in the future.
Thank you.
And Izzy has given us locations to travel to throughout the United States and our favorite places. And I am like curious about the hot spring place that you said. So we'll definitely consider going there in the future.
Yeah.
So before we like end things, Demi and Isabel, is there anything else you guys would like to add?
No,
Every
I think
week, I like to add in that everyone should go outside while it's still nice outside
yes,
and do
definitely.
outdoor activities, get some sunlight in.
Get some vitamin D.
Yes, get the vitamins. Alrighty, thank you so much to my wonderful co-hosts Demi and Izzy, and a special thank you to everyone watching us today. We hope to
Thank
see you
you.
again. Yes, we stream every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on the All About Presentation YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn page. If you can't make it, then no worries. We repost our episodes on our YouTube channel and onto IGTV videos on our Instagram page. Happy Friday and have a wonderful weekend, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.